Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Premiere Pro tutorial. In this tutorial lesson we are going to do our fourth and final part of our intro sequence that we have been building for the past few lessons. In part 1 we synced the audio together with the video. In part 2 we did B-roll. In the previous lesson we learned how to control the audio and add music, and in this final part we're going to add an animated title and some captions, just like you see here in this example.
Hey now, I am Mr. McDougall and I am the advanced graphics instructor here, and I am super thrilled to see you here.
So we're going to create something just like that before we finish off and export our final versions of the project. So let's open Premiere Pro and open our project. Alright, so we're exactly where we left off last time. So the first thing we're going to do is create that animated title you saw of the text advanced graphics flying in. So first thing is to move your CTI or your blue playhead near the beginning of the entire timeline, because it's going to be one of the first things that pops up. It's going to pop up near the beginning of the entire video. So let's go to our type tool, the capital T right here, go on the type tool, and we're going to type, click on the screen to start typing, type the word advanced graphics. And do it like mine, where you have them stacked on top of each other right here. Don't do it to where it's stretched out like this. Don't do it this way. Do it to where they're stacked on top of each other. So after you type advanced, hit enter to do it like that. And now we can highlight our text and go over to our effect controls to mess around with it. So under effect controls right here where it says text advanced graphics, let's open this up. Let's play with it. I like to put it in the center align, so they're right in the middle. And then mess with the size. Mess with the font. You know me, I like me a good impact font, but you can pick another one that's big and easy to read. Maybe like that one. We want it to be fairly large. We don't want it to take up the entire screen, but we're going to put it pretty big right in the middle. To adjust the position, it's easiest just to go back to your selection tool and then move it around like this. Put it right in the middle. Let's say about right there is pretty good. We're not going to go super giant. We also don't want it too small. Right there is pretty good. Let's leave it like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to add a couple of effects to this in order to create that slide in, slide out animation that you just saw. So let's go to our effects tab right here, and I'm going to search for the crop effect, C-R-O-P, crop, and you'll see this one right here. Take this crop effect and add it to your text clip that just got added right here. Take this, drop it on right there, and you'll see it pop up over here on the effect controls. You see now I've added this one called crop. That's the one I just did. So let's click on crop for a second. Click on the word crop, and you'll see on your program monitor, let me collapse this for a second so you can see it a little bit better. You'll see over here in your program monitor you have these blue lines and these dots surrounding it. So we're going to adjust the crop so it's right outside the borders of the text, kind of like this. I'm going to drag it from this side, and I'm going to bring it down just so it's right outside of it like that. Don't go too far because then you'll crop down. So I want to go to just about right there, and do that from all four sides. Bring those in just to the edges. Right there. All four sides are going to crop in just like that. So it's just a little bit of a border. If you go too far, you cut off the word, so don't do that. Alright, so now I have my crop set up. Excellent. Next we're going to add the transform effect. So come back down here and search for transform. There you go. We want to add the transform effect. There's a folder called transform. Don't drag this folder over because that won't do anything. You want this one that's a little effect right here. It has a little icon that looks like a battery next to it. So now take this transform effect and drag it and drop it right here onto the text edit as well. So this will also be added to our effect controls. That's what this effect controls tab does. Whenever we add effects to here, this is how we control it. So this menu's starting to get pretty big. Let's start collapsing some of these for a second. This transform one, I'm going to hit this. Same with crop. I'm going to start just collapsing these because they're getting kind of out of control, and I want to make it easier to see. Alright, so that's looking good. Much more concise now. The first thing we need to do is these effects is we need to switch them. So crop actually needs to be above the transform option. So I'm going to click and hold on the crop one, and I'm going to drag it up so it goes right above transform. So crop is on top. Remember it that way, just like a Dr. Seuss book. Crop is on top. Now we're going to open our transform tab right here to adjust the scale and position. Make sure you're on the transform tab and you're not down here on the motion tab, which also has scale and position. That's not the right one. We want to be on the transform. That's why we added the transform effect. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move our CTI just left of center. So right here is about the middle. We're going to move it just to the left. Right about there, just left of center. Perfect. So for right there, we're going to create a stopwatch for position. So now it's going to start tracking keyframes for position. We're going to use keyframes to create the animation of it moving in and moving out. Before I change any numbers or move anything, I'm just going to move the CTI just right of center now. So I'm going to move it a little bit over here. Let's say right about there. That looks good. And I'm going to create another keyframe like that. So I've created 2 keyframes so far, but the text hasn't moved just yet because it's actually easier to move it from its center position than the other ones. So now that I've created my 2 keyframes without moving anything yet, I'm going to move my playhead all the way to the left over here. And now I'm going to adjust this position number to where the text goes outside of that crop zone that I set up earlier. So I'm just going to start dragging this number to the side. And you'll see what starts to happen. It starts going outside that little crop. And I'm going to stop once all the text is gone. Right there. Now I'm going to stop. And now it's going to create this animation where it slides in.
McDougall, and I am the advanced.
Like that. Perfect. Now let's do the same thing for the other side. Let's take this CTI and move it to the right.
Here you.
Right there. And now adjust either of the position numbers again so it slides out in the opposite direction or a different direction. So mine slid in from the left, so I'm going to have it go out either up to the right or down. Let's have it go down. I'm going to take this number and I'm going to slide it so it goes down. Again, just outside the crop. Boom. Then I can stop right there. So let's see it so far.
Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here. Here you will get.
Good, but it looks a little slow and a little cheesy. So I remember we can have each pair of keyframes get closer together. And if they're closer together, that will make the animation happen faster. So let's see. If I make each little pair, so this pair is closer and this pair is closer, it'll make it go faster.
Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here.
That might be a little too fast.
McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here.
That looks better, but the last thing we're going to do is just like we did before with the text animation is it kind of comes to a really hard stop. So I want it to smooth out a little bit.
Mr. McDougall, and I am the.
It just kind of stops right there. Let's smooth it out by using the ease in and ease out. So on this first one on the far left, on this one, right click on it, go to this temporal one, and we're going to do ease out because it's coming out of this frame. And this one's going to be ease in. Same thing with this other pair. This one is going out of, so this one's going to be ease out on the left. And the one on the right is going to be ease in. That will smooth it out just a little bit.
Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here.
So it goes a little bit smoother and it didn't crash as hard. I think it's still moving a little too fast for my taste. Let's see.
Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here.
That looks a lot better. I like that. All right, so that is how you animate the title sequence. So that is our first part. The next part is we're going to add captions to the entire video, like you just saw. Let's make sure that we have our text also pop up right when I say advanced graphics, which I think it did, but let's double check.
Now, I'm Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here.
All right, that timing worked out perfectly, actually. So have the text come in right when I say that part. When I say advanced graphics, have the advanced graphics title come in.
I'm Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here. Here you will get.
Perfect. So make sure yours is that as well. If yours is over here or more over here, move it into that exact spot. All right, so now let's do the captions. So for that, we need to add a new window. Just like in the previous lesson, we did essential sound for our sound. For the captions, we need another window. So let's go up to window, and we're going to go to this one that says text. Turn on the text window, which will pop up over here in the top left. So the first thing that we need to do is transcribe the text. So you'll come over here to where it says transcript, click on this button that says transcript, it'll tell you it's detected audio sources for transcription. So let's click this little drop down. So it detected the clean microphone audio that I gave you, talking audio 1, 2, and 3. It's also detected this music track as an audio source. This does not need to be transcribed, so this one you can turn off. Leave these 3 turned on, but turn off the music track because we don't want that. So once it's detected that, all you have to do is click transcribe. It will take a second. It will listen to everything, and it's basically doing a speech to text function right now where it's listening to what I'm saying and it's turning it into an audio transcription just like this. Should just take a second, just like you just saw. Didn't take very long. But now that it's been transcribed, we can go here to where it says CC, create captions. So click on that and then just click create captions. Again, 1, 2, 3, it'll take a second. And now it has captions on the screen right here where it says subtitle. There's a whole new track right here that has the captions.
Hey now, I'm Mr. McDougall and I am the advanced graphics instructor here. Here you will get to take your knowledge from the intro class and use it to create some brand new content.
So it's pretty darn good, this speech to text. But as you know, with all speech to text, if you've used it on your phone and other devices, it's pretty good, but it's not perfect. It usually struggles with people's names too. So you'll have to go back and double check stuff like this, where I could see that it's clearly a typo right here. I'm not a Miss McDougall anymore. I'm married, so I'm a Mr. McDougall. And it spelled my name wrong because it's hard to get people's names correct. In order to fix any typos, you just need to come over here and you can change the type. So over here, just double click and you can retype whatever you need to fix. So Mr. and then there's no A in McDougall. There we go. And also the title of the course, Advanced Graphics, that should be capitalized. So we need to make sure that everything has the proper punctuation and grammar, and you'll see that the changes are reflected here as well. So go through each of these and make sure that there's no typos and that the punctuation and everything looks good to match. But for the most part, it should be pretty good. You won't have to change too much, but you just have to double check because, as always, the AI features are great, but they're not perfect. So now that we have our captions and our text, let's see what it's looking like so far.
Hey now, I'm Mr. McDougall and I am the advanced graphics instructor here. Here you will get to take your knowledge from the intro class and use it to create some brand new content.
So this is looking pretty darn good so far. I like it. We're almost done. The last thing we're going to do before we convert it into our vertical form is to color correct. So as always, we need to color correct every single clip because right now it's looking a little dark and a little janky. So let's do that with our Lumetri color window. Go up to Window, Lumetri color. That one's over here. And click on each clip. So every single one of the talking head clips and every B-roll clip as well. Let's do the auto color correct. You can look how much better it is. It's so much brighter now. So go through each one like I'm about to do and color correct every single one of them. Okay, so we have our captions. Every single clip is color corrected. As you can see, it's looking a lot brighter and more colorful than it was before. So now our last step is we're going to duplicate it to make a vertical version. So we save the captions and the color correction always for the very last step, so we only have to do it once. We want to make sure that everything is finalized before we do the last steps that we just did today with the text and the color correction, because you don't want to have to go back and change your music or change your B-roll clips and then all of a sudden your color corrections and your captions don't match anymore. So always save that for the very, very end. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is export a second version. So we're going to copy this version into a vertical version. So come over here to where you have your intro sequence. So the very first clip that you put on created your sequence. Rename your sequence to intro sequence 16:9, like that. So your entire sequence should be intro sequence 16:9. I'm going to close all these for right now. But that's what you're going to have. So now we need to duplicate this sequence. So your intro sequence 16:9, right click on it and do duplicate. And it's going to create a 16:9 copy. Rename the copy to intro sequence 9:16. and double click on it to open it. So right now we have our two sequences. Okay, so right now nothing's happened because they look exactly the same, but we're going to fix that right now. So this one, the 9:16, is going to be our vertical one. So in order to do that, we've done this before when we talked about vertical sequences like an Instagram story. We need to change the sequence settings on that one just like we did before. So let's go up to sequence settings, and we just need to switch these two around where it says frame size. So this one is going to be 1080 and the other one is going to be 1920. And then click OK, click OK. So now this sequence is our vertical one. So the only thing we need to do now is adjust the position of all of our video clips to make sure we don't have the black bars. So let's go back to our effect controls for each of these clips right here. And this one's going to be under the motion option. So go to motion, and that's where you can adjust the scale and position of each one. So if I adjust the scale, I can bring it up like that, and I can adjust the position so I'm back in the center, and do that for every single clip. So now that you have zoomed in on each one, you now have your two final versions of this video. We have the 16:9 version and the 9:16 version. So they are exactly the same. So we save this for the very end, so I don't have to do anything except what I just did, which was change the scale and position of each one to fit the frame. But the captions and the audio and the color correction, that was already done from the beginning of this video. So now we have the exact same video twice with the vertical version, so I could post it on a story.
Now, I'm Mr. McDougall, and I am the advanced graphics instructor here. Here, you will get to take your knowledge from the intro class.
So now I'm able to post this on YouTube and on my Instagram stories, so it's available for my audience to see on multiple platforms. So now at the very end, you can finally export and turn this in. Make sure you export each one. Export and turn in your 16:9 and export and turn in your 9:16 vertical one as well. Attach both videos just like you see in my examples right here. I have an example of each one. Attach both, and then you can finally click turn in and be completed with your first intro sequence as a video editor. So congratulations, good job, have fun, and let me know if you have any questions.